Okay, everyone, welcome to Challenges Facing Our New Dentisting Colleagues That Affect All Dentists. I'm Paul Goodman. A lot of people call me Dr. Nacho, and I'm excited to be on with you guys sharing. So I'm big into checklists, Checklist for Success. Checklist Manifesto by Tugawande is an awesome book. Every dentist should have it. Every team member should have it. They should read it. Checklists should not be 47 things long. They should be digestible points. So we're going to examine the treatment plan life options dental students have after dental school, private practice versus GPR versus specialty program, discuss the debt level and ways to handle debt, the emotional stress of being $400,000 to $600,000 in debt, job opportunities for a new dentist, and how to find an associate position, the practice transition landscape, buying, selling, expanding your practice that affect buying and selling, and strategies to manage and overcome these challenges facing new dentists and how all dentists can help our newest colleagues. So if you're listening and you're a brand new dentist, this is for you. If you're listening and you're a medium-aged dentist like you, this is for you. You may need an associate. Buy another practice and put an associate in it. If you're an older dentist, a seasoned age dentist, what you call a SAD, this is for you too, because someone's going to need to buy your practice one day and figure out what's facing them. Can they get a bank loan? Will their school debt prevent them from buying a practice? Spoiler alert, no, that is not the case, but you need to learn about that as well. So as we move along here, I want you guys to think of a time where you were really, really scared, worried about how things would turn out. What prevents you from freaking out? What gets you through those tough situations and helps us make the next best decision? And how can I help you decrease the freakout factor as a dental student, a human being, and eventual real-world dentist? So you may be sitting there as a young dentist thinking, am I ever going to save enough to buy a practice? Am I ever going to know dentistry well enough to run a practice? You may be sitting there as somebody who's had a practice for 20 years that's hit a plateau and you're looking to increase your production. So what are some of these things that we can do to help prevent us from freaking out in these situations? Freakout prevention tips by Dr. Nacho. One is training. Training is important. We cannot get somewhere unless we train, figure out what to do, how we get training. We'll talk about it. Some of it's clinical CE, but other times it's management CE, leadership CE, and taking courses outside of dentistry that helps you as a dentist, a manager, and a leader. Preparation, they talk about how to prepare for a crown prep in dental school, but do they talk about how to prepare for working for a place and they ask you to do a root canal without a rubber dam? What do you do in those situations? They may not have a rubber dam in the office. And then timing. What's timing? Timing is another word for luck. So if I tell dentists that, hey, you were really lucky to be able to buy that practice, they don't like that because they feel I'm insulting them, and say, hey, you had a really good timing. One of the best examples of timing is someone that I've become very friendly with. I'm lucky to count him as a friend. He's one of our new Dentist Boost Camp speakers. He's an awesome dentist in Philadelphia, Dr. Todd Fleischman. I'm not sure if he's watching this. Hope to see him later today. But when I talk with Todd, he's been on our podcast, The Dental Amigos, which is an awesome episode if you listen to what Todd did. So Todd and I are both medium-aged. I think I'm a little older than him. I'm 41, he's 40. And when he got out of his residency program, his GPR, he went to the study clubs in the area in Philadelphia. He was the youngest person there. He paid to be in these study clubs. There was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, and he went out there and he met other dentists because he wanted to learn and he wanted to meet dentists. He wasn't embarrassed to be the youngest dentist in the room, and he used his income to invest in that. And when the time came for him to find a good job and buy a practice, he was put in touch with a phenomenal dentist by the runner of that study club, the leader of that study club. You know, maybe the 10 years ago, Paul Goodman, who said, Todd's been a good guy. He's come and showed his face. Sometimes you get your face off of Facebook and out in there into the real world where you meet these dentists where they hang out. So if you're looking to purchase a practice right off the bat, a tip is go out to local CE. If you're looking for a better job, a tip is go out to local CE. Doesn't matter what the topic is. It's great if it's exciting, but will some of them be boring? Most definitely. They will definitely be boring. But you sit there with other dentists, you do things that dentists love to do when they're together, complain, and get to know some of the other dentists there. So that is some of my freak out prevention tips. If you guys have questions along the way, drop them into the Zoom or Facebook chat. So let's talk about happiness. We talk about, people ask, I want to be happy. So, I hear people say all the time, we want to increase our happiness. People ask you, are you happy? But what is happiness? I think it's hard to define. Some people say it's family and friends, but I suggest this summer when you were on the 6th day of your shore vacation with your family and your cousin won't give up the remote and your uncle never stops bringing up politics, think, how happy is your family making you then? Inner peace, people say that, but I know that sounds a little bit boring. Money may make you a little bit happy. That's okay, that's fair. So happiness is difficult to define. So I think, I want to help you be happier, but I need to define it. So I've defined it in a different way. Annoyance. What makes you annoyed as a dentist? So maybe you could drop into the comments, what makes you annoyed as a dentist? And we can talk about that because I have some things that make me annoyed. So we can't see each other. Sometimes you can see my face, but I can't see you, but drop into the comments, what makes you annoyed as a dentist? So we can talk about what makes you worried. I can share what makes me worried and annoyed as a dentist. So someone's contributing. Insurance and mean patients. Good one. Yes, mean patients. I mean, why is it okay in this world? We're talking about being nice to everyone, be nice to your friends, be nice to strangers, but it is still okay to be mean to the dentist. I don't think that's fair. Some people walk in, they say, I don't hate you, but I hate the dentist. And I say, but you only know me as your dentist. We don't hang out after hours. So good one there. So what makes us annoyed? Here's a couple things. Patient canceling because their cat died again. Okay, cats have 9 lives. Your cat's on your 10th life, Mrs. Smith. How about you just show up so we can put this mediocre denture in your mouth? Crown fits, but the contacts are not Goldilocks. So I don't know, is anyone watching who's going to be an endodontist or a periodontist or an oral surgeon? So putting money aside, even if we all made the same amount of money, those 3 professions or those 3 areas of dentistry, they are lucky because they don't have to deal with contact. Sometimes the contact, it is too tight. What do I say? That's how you want it to be, Mrs. Smith. Just use one of those interproximal brushes or soft picks. I carry them around. Hey, look at this. I'll just show you. I walk the walk. I am always carrying around these little things here. What are they? Soft picks, I think, because you never know when you're out in public and you got to get something out of your teeth. So if it's too tight, you could do that. What happens if the contact is too loose? You say that's how you want it to be. We want to be able to clean between there. So I'm just joking, but it is difficult. And then finally, the patient who says to you, they cannot lean back in the chair. Has anyone had a patient say this to them? I mean, that is just maddening. So, you go to do your work, your full contact arts and crafts. You go to lean them back. They go, oh, stop. I can't lean back. And I want to turn to them, seriousness, and just say, how do you sleep at night? In a chair? Because if you don't sleep in a chair, get back, Millie. So it is not easy to be a dentist. It's not easy to deal with these things. So what is happiness? Annoyance is super easy to define. So more happiness is less annoyance. How can we be happier and less annoyed in our daily lives? Life of a dentist versus life of Daphne. That's when she was young. Of course, everyone likes a dog, but then sometimes she's upset. So as a dentist, I want to take a minute and just share with you, it's okay to experience and feel stressed out by this internal emotional roller coaster that's going on inside of you. Crown fits, patient pays, your team's getting along, great. Next second, crown doesn't fit, someone's fighting over paper towels, and someone says things like, I didn't know I had to pay today. Who goes to a place where they don't think they have to pay? So just to show you, last year or 2 years ago, this was 2018, I had the awesome opportunity to go to the Mark Costas Dental Success Summit. I was there again this year. Awesome event, truly magical. So while I was speaking, Mrs. Nacho took Daphne to the butterfly garden. She loved that. So that's like, hey, look at that. Got a patient says yes to an implant. Insurance plans are not reducing their fees. So this would be a happy dentist. And then on the way home, I said to her, hey, Daphne, you can't eat all the goldfish before we leave. And this is how she looked. So it's okay to embrace, dentists, that we are on this emotional internal roller coaster, and it's not easy. And people should feel bad for us, but they don't. We can only feel bad for each other. So what are some things that we can do to feel better about what we do each day? So the Nacho Plate of me, many of you guys know me and what I do, but this is just a list. I'm not here to brag, but I think I spend the most amount of time with dentists as anyone on planet Earth because I do all of these different things in the circle of dentisting life. I really enjoy it. From buyer coaching to being attending at residency programs to the Nachos Facebook group, podcasts, and all the different things, transition broker. So if I can help you, I would love to do that. But where am I coming from? Am I an expert in dentist? I don't know if that's such a thing, but at least I have a lot of experience. I've done a large number of cases in the dental world of all different ages and stages of dentist. So, and that's us there posing for a nice family picture, totally staged, but that's us Rittenhouse Square. These are the moderators of Dental Nachos. You met one before here, Daphne and Drew. They're the ones who help you just be nice and decrease TSD. So why 8 months ago was I terrified at 5 a.m. after being up for 22 hours straight? And I'm going to tell you guys about that. But ingredient number one to being successful, overcoming challenges as a new dentist, as any dentist, is always be managing expectations. So if you're making a checklist for yourself as to what to keep in your office, always be managing expectations is one of my number one things. When I get up in the morning, I think always manage expectations. Could be with my team, could be with my wife, could be with my children, could be with the people on Dental Nachos. Always be managing expectations, because I'll tell you what happens when you don't manage expectations. And this is part of what we're talking about here with new dentists. So we can apply this story to anyone. So we want to manage expectations of everyone that we meet, our patients, our team, our new dentist. So one might be like if a new dentist says, hey, when I get out of dental school, am I going to make $300,000 a year so I can easily pay my loans? Yes, I know there's one guy in Crushing It Bill USA that makes that. But right now, one of the management of expectations for new dentists out there. And if anybody wants to drop in the comments, let's pause for a minute. If you were on the game show, The Price is Right, I love that show. When I stayed home sick as a kid, I would watch The Price is Right and always want to win the Showcase Showdown. What do you think a dentist out of dental school or residency is going to earn, a range they're going to earn for their first year of work? That's going to encompass most dentists, most new dentists. Not the one guy in Crushing It Bill USA who went rural, who makes $400,000 a year. I'm super happy for him or her. Not maybe the person making $60,000 a year, working as an apprentice dentist under a fee-for-service dentist. That may be a unique situation. Let's live our life in the most. What are most new dentists going to make? So we have a couple votes here. $150,000 a year. I like that. Let's check over here. If you see me go out of view for a second, I'm going to check in on our Facebook participants. Anyone here? What are new dentists going to make each year? Facebook, feel free. Okay, got it. Thanks. 120 to 180. So there, let's say we got $150,000 a year a new dentist is going to make. Now, people will tell you $150,000 a year, that's not so bad. It is not. But when you have $400,000 to $600,000 in debt and you haven't been working after college for 4 or 5 years, it can be a challenge. And one of the things I want to bring awareness to all dentists, young, baby age, BADS, toddler age, TAD, TADS, that's a Louis Chen term, medium age dentist, MAD, seasoned age dentist, SAD. Dr. Craig told me about SAD. I like that one. Is that I am 41 years old. And when I got out of my residency program, dentists were making the same in 2000, and I got out in 2004-ish range, 2005. But since 2002 to 2019, the starting salary, the starting pay for a dentist has been the same, and the debt is 3 to 4 times as much. So that's something that we all need to be aware of in the dentisting space, even if you're someone who doesn't have any debt, even if someone who paid off your debt. So let's get back to this story here. Mrs. Nacho is here pregnant with our second child, and she is running late. I always like the sign at Washington Square, no dogs or people allowed in the fountain. That meant that there was apparently too many people out in the fountain and they had to put up a sign. So our baby's running late. So do not say everything you think in your mind in life and dentistry. So when you're talking to patients, do the Zach Braff scrub thing. Think things up here. Don't let them come out of your mouth. The doctors, they did a very bad job with Mrs. Nacho because they said, your first baby came quickly. Your second baby is going to come even quicker. So now they have managed Mary's expectations to think that the baby is just going to shoot out of her like some sort of science fiction movie. And I'll tell you what happens along the way. So that was our first child, Daphne, the moderator. That was four years ago. This is what you look like when you have your first child. That's me, everybody. Now, 4 years later, I'm filled with love. This is what happens. You know, you have two children. You're doing a lot of things, but it is awesome. But our first human being is a lot like me, Daphne. So her express birth story, she was born on her due date. We were outside of the hospital at 8:11, and Daphne was born here on Earth at 8:52. So for those of you who have had children, that is quite the DVR speed of childbirth, and Daphne and I are still pretty nuts to this day. So always be managing expectations. Remember, Mrs. Nacho, the baby's past the due date, but everyone told her the baby's just going to fly out of her. So let's see how that comes into play as we talk here. But how about some just, practice management C, just some tips, okay? Here's a tip for a dentist. Does anyone out there tell their patient, hey, Betty, we're going to do 3 fillings today? You can raise your hand on Zoom. You can say here on Facebook. Do you ever tell your patient we're going to do 3 fillings today? Okay, because I've done it and I've regretted it. Who tells their patients how many fillings they are going to do? Okay, there's someone raise your hand there. Thanks. Say, okay, so I'm going to give you a tip. Never tell a patient how many fillings you're going to do ever when you start an appointment for the remainder of your life, because it can only hurt you. Because here, we have some medium-aged dentists. If you're a medium-aged dentist, 10 to 25 years out of practice, tell me if this has ever happened. You tell someone, hey, Betty, we're going to do 3 fillings today. We're going to start with the lower right, then we're going to do the upper left, and we're going to get that one done in the front. All today. We're getting it all done today. So all Betty says, I don't have to come back. Then you're doing that filling on the lower right, and you ask Betty to open, and she does one of these. And you're like, that is not open. Are you familiar with how words work, Betty? Because that is not opening. Then you're doing her filling, and you're like, man, this thing is getting bigger than I expected. What do I tell Betty? And your mind's like, I better just tell her nothing and hope it doesn't hit the pulp. So you move it along there. So now you have a larger filling. Then you go to put the band on, one of those lima bean bands. You put that on, you put the ring on, and the ring flies across the room. So now you thought you were going to do 3 fillings, and you're not even done filling number 1. And emotionally, spiritually, backly, you're like, I got to be done with Betty. But you told her that you were going to do 3 fillings. So now you have set her up for disappointment. When you sit Betty up and you can make a number of valid reasons, which the patient just hears as excuses as to why you are not going to get those other 2 fillings done, she's upset. She's got to come back. She thinks something went wrong. Maybe something did go a little off script. So do not just say, this is what you're going to say. So if you're out there, does anybody want a script on what you say to patients when you sit down and they have multiple fillings? Do you think that Nacho guy said, don't say how many fillings you're going to do, but I might do 3, right? You might do 3. This is what you say. Hey, Betty, excited to be here today? Always gets a good laugh because no one's excited to be here. Well, I'm excited for you to be here. What we're going to start with, Betty, is this filling on the lower right. We're going to see how it goes. And we're going to see how we both feel at the end of this. And once we finish that one, I'm going to sit you up and we're going to decide what the next best thing to do is. Maybe we've worked for a while and we decide it's time to take a break and schedule again. Maybe it goes so quickly, we'll do the next filling, whatever you want to say. But I just say, this is what we're going to start with first and see how everything goes. When I do webinars and when I talk online, obviously I rant and I say a lot of words. When I talk to patients, a lot less words. It would just be, hey, Betty, we're going to start with that. We're going to start with this one first. See how it goes and go from there. Start with this one first, see how it goes and go from there. You've set yourself up for being the good guy or the good dentist, just in case after you do that first filling, you don't want to see Betty anymore. Anyone have any questions on managing expectations like that? Let's check in here. Okay. Yeah, I like this. We're going to start right now. Thanks. I appreciate it. See, your life's changed. It's Cinco De Mayo. It's Sunday. And you're going to say that for the rest of your life. And you're going to remember me when you say it. And it's going to get you out of some sticky jams. Come back over here to Facebook for just a second here, guys. See if anyone see. Got some people joining. Nice to see all of you guys. Okay. Next, do not tell a patient you're going to see another patient for a hygiene tech. I tell them I'm going to take a jaw rest. This is a bigger course as we go through. We have a 60-minute CE course today. So some of these I go into in more greater detail for spending a whole day together. And most of all, let patients know if they'll be seated after their appointment time. If it's going to be longer than 10 minutes, give them a prize. Prizes show you care. So in our office, we have a stack of Starbucks gift cards at the front desk. And if anyone is seated 10 minutes past their appointment time, my team knows, they're empowered, to use a fancy consulting word, but they just know that at the end of the appointment, they could say, hey, Bob, we know we sat you later than we expected. We're sorry about that. Have a Starbucks drink on us. Bob usually goes, no, I don't need it. I don't need it, but he takes it anyway. And it's just a nice moment for you to show you care by giving a prize. So back to my story about that day when we're waiting for the second moderator. So I'm teaching an implant course like I always do, like I usually do in Philadelphia. This is my shared workspace. If any of you guys come, you can visit Dental Nacho's headquarters. So we're teaching a hands-on implant course, but we're a couple days past the due date. So I said to myself, I can't possibly, be at an implant course when my wife is supposed to be giving birth. So what can I do? So we have here the hands-on implant course. I want to teach it. So I just bring my wife with me. So this is Ariel, who works with me at Dental Nachos, and that is Mrs. Nacho. So she's a few days past the due date. So after the course, I said, hey, let's go out and do something fun. If you're a dad out there, anyone dad who has some small humans in their house, because it's tough during the pregnancy process. Anybody dads out there? Well, I'll give you a trick, or give you a tip. You have to drink for two, and that's not an easy job. So we went to a great place in Philadelphia called Tinto. I had a few drinks, we had some food, and we went to see this movie, Crazy Rich Asians. So apparently that really got the baby excited. So when we left the movie, to give you the summary of this, Mary said she felt something. We went to the hospital. It was about midnight. They said the baby is moving slow, but you should stay in the hospital because, your last baby came quick. These are medical doctors. Your last baby came quick. This baby is going to come even faster. To make a long story short, in the middle of the night, we had to have an urgent C-section at 5 a.m. They huddled the doctor team together. Even though they didn't expect that, they were a great team. They did not freak out. And in just, 45 minutes at 5 a.m., they had Drew out. There's Drew. I put a nacho sticker on her head. She's got to get with the program. It's like, I can't believe you put a nacho sticker on my head right when I was born. But this just shows you that when things go off script, you have to be prepared not to freak out, whether it's in your life, your career, or in your dentisting. So let's go to ingredient number 2. Everything that matters needs a system, and everything matters. What is your system for being successful from dental student till after dental school? Are you going in extra to observe in clinics when you can? Are you meeting dentists and going to networking events, even though you don't have to? We had an awesome young dentist on our podcast, and he said he went to business courses at the school where he was to learn about business. So everything that matters needs a system, and everything matters. Then as you move along as a new dentist into the job finding process, let's say you're in a GPR or an AEGD, are you spending time going to local study clubs, meeting dentists, meeting the specialists, so when the time comes to find a job, they can connect you? Ingredient number 3 here, humans do not like spending money on needs. So as a new dentist or a medium-aged dentist, we sometimes say, man, I can't believe the patient didn't want to pay for their crown, but they went on vacation. Has anybody said that to one of their friends? I can't believe my patient didn't get an implant, but I saw him go on vacation. Well, vacation is a lot more fun, one of our core dental nachos says this, than dental work. So how can we embrace this as a dentist? I said to Daphne, hey, you have to wear shoes. That was a need. This is how she responded. But then when we got a mini dress and cookie for her, that was a want. She loved it. So we are battling with having to have our patients spend money on needs. And just to put this in your guys' terms, any of you guys watching here, who here would be excited if I told you tomorrow you need to pay for a new furnace in your house? And that would be none of you. None of you would be happy to pay for a new furnace in your house, but you would do it because you want to have heat if it's the winter time. So we're battling against wants. I mean, this is actually my sister Jill. This is down her getting her hair done. So have you ever gone into a hair salon? Who here has been in a hair salon before? People love it. They're wearing capes. They're drinking wine. They're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars. And you know something so weird about hair salons, okay? Something so weird. They do not take insurance. People just come and they pay. So let's pause for a minute and go back and think about one of our core parts of this webinar for challenges facing new dentists that all dentists should be aware of. So when you're in dental school, you can go directly into private practice. You can do a GPR AGD, or you can do a specialty program. So maybe we have a few students on the webinar here, and I won't promise I won't say your name. What are you planning to do right now in this moment after dental school? Private practice, GPR, AGD, or specialty program. And for those of you who are watching who are not in dental school, you are past dental school, what would you tell a young dental student to do? So maybe you've been out 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe you didn't do a GPR. Maybe you did. Maybe you wanted to go to perio, but you decided to be a general dentist. Maybe you're an oral surgeon who regrets it. Let's share with our younger audience, either A, what are you planning to do next year? See if I can get my buddy Stephanie to say something. Hey, Stephanie, can you say what you would do? Let's go back in time, back to the 80s, and you're graduating private. Someone said private practice. I like that. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Somebody says, I got my GPR, plan GPR, private practice or GPR. I'm in an AGD right now, and I'd highly recommend it. So look at this, everybody. It's Cinco de Mayo. I know we'll record this webinar. Maybe people will be watching it for years to come. Maybe this will be in the future. You'll be watching it, and there's flying cars. Are there flying cars? I hope there's flying cars. But look at what this sharing we're doing here. We have people saying, a few people saying residency programs, if not especially, then definitely a GPR AGD. I tell them to look at what they're good at and create a budget and timeline for what you want to do. So this is just awesome. But I'm going to stick with this picture here of our top level hairstylist and my sister. So I want all of us to this brings everybody together. This talks about going to private practice, doing a GPR AGD, going into a specialty program, and working with patients to pay off that $400,000 to $600,000 in debt. And the way I'd like to frame this is, think about what doctors go through and think about what dentists go through. So doctors go to medical school, and then they go to a 3 to 6 year residency program where they follow around bigger, stronger doctors. If you're in a teaching hospital and you are going to get a mole looked at on your arm, you expect 7 people to come in the room and be like, I see the mole. Where's the mole? Hey, is this the right mole? Is this the wrong mole? So this is what happened when we were with delivering Drew, and I loved it. There was a first-year resident, a chief resident, and attending. They worked as a team. The first-year resident, he wasn't so sure as to what was going on. He called in the chief resident. Chief resident came in and said, yep, this is a face presentation. And the attending came in and said, we have to do an urgent C-section. Dentistry has decided, because I have no idea who decided this, that we should train people for 4 years in the most stressful thing, give them experiences like, 3 root canals. Is 3 a lot? No, 3 is not a lot. And then shut the doors to dental school and say, have a good career. And they will say, okay, well, you can go out and get mentorship. You can have a dentist mentor you. And I'm going to share something right now, no matter where you are in your career, that will hopefully help. We need private practice residencies. Good point. But I have set up something like a private practice residency, but I want you guys all to embrace this. Everyone's got their hair done. I like my hair. Important to me, okay? Look at this picture here. If you are sitting here getting your hair done, like my sister, and this is your first year private practice dentist who's working on these spoil things, and in his mind, he says, I don't know if this is exactly right. I don't know if this is how these veneers should be cemented. I don't know if this implant crown is seated. I'm not so sure if the whole tooth is out. In medical world, you go and get a bigger, stronger doctor and say, what do you think? Is this normal? And then he comes in and says, yep, it's normal. Oh, this is take more of the tooth out, do the veneer this way. In the dental world, it stinks, because if you are a young dentist and you leave and go get a more seasoned hairstylist, and that hairstylist comes over and even says, yep, you're doing a good job, okay? Patient loses confidence in you. If they say, oh, you know how you put these foil things here? You should move them up a little bit. Definitely loses confidence in you. Now, if the seasoned hairstylist cares and you care because you're asking for reasonable help, and they say, move to the side, I'm going to help you and take over. The job gets done well for my sister. The patient or the client should be happy, but they lose confidence in that younger dentist for the rest of their life. They don't look at them the same way. Even no matter how you try to say 2 heads are better than 1, this happens with me all the time. Most of my private practice mentorship with my awesome young associates happens outside the patient room. They come up to me, bring up the x-ray, bring up the intraoral picture, show me something with the implant, and I say, go back and try to twist it this way. Go back and do this way. Because I know the second that I go into that room and start to do it, they will lose confidence in them, and that stinks. It makes no sense. It's totally irrational by the patient. Think about yourself. Wouldn't you want people to do the best job that they could? Wouldn't you want them to ask for help? And the airplane industry, they've done a much better job, because now they have a whole, if you see something, say something. A flight attendant could say something to a co-captain and they have to listen. But in our dental industry, we do not have good collaboration in front of patients to help with treatment, and that really does stink. So getting back to my point about private practice residency, private practice versus GPR AGD, a GPR AGD lets you spend a full year practicing on patients you're never going to see again, which is great, because if you're in your town from where you grew up, like I was, and your gym teacher, who's your patient, like mine was, thinks you're a total idiot, she's always going to think that way. So you have to look like you know what you're doing and say things to make it look like you know what you're doing, so you can practice that in a GPR. In a GPR AGD, if you cannot figure out which way to get the implant crown on, because I've walked into my wonderful residents, I'm sure I've been the same way, and they'd be like, is this right? I'm like, that is upside down. So I come in and say, turn it right side up, and we have this nice moment in front of the patient. So that year is magical for increasing your confidence, learning how to troubleshoot, and especially learning extractions. If anybody wants to ask any questions, I'll give you guys a break from my face here for a second. I'll check in on some comments. Where are you? Private practice residency. So yeah, good luck finding a mentor. Now, I want to share something about mentoring. Here, watch me. I'm back. Sorry, there was not a lot of time. All of you young dentists, can someone say if you're a young dentist, you would like a mentor? Just share, whether you're on Zoom. I'm a young dentist and I would like a mentor. Okay, I'm a young dentist and I would like a mentor. I want to have a mentor. Okay, I definitely want a mentor. Okay, I want a mentor. Okay, so some people want mentors. I got something to say to you. What is in it for the mentor? So if I mentor somebody, okay, the only people that I can really mentor day to day are the people that work with me in our office, because we're on the same team, playing the same football game. But if you want mentorship outside of your program, of your job, think what is in it for the mentor, because they're busy, they have families, they have stressful jobs. So mentorship can be magical, and I do mentor people. But if you want mentorship, you want to put yourself in a position to be a good mentee, be engaged, ask good questions, show up on time, and don't always just want to take. What could a mentee do for a mentor? None of this has to be about money. Possibly you could organize some of their photos from a case and put it into a PowerPoint presentation. That's a good offer. A lot of times, you guys are much better with technology than the mentor. And sitting with someone over coffee, talking about life, pondering life, like a long walk on a beach, which always seems a little annoying to me, but a long walk on the beach, that's light mentorship, okay? You're away from the game. You're not learning anything at the game. So you could walk along the beach, you could have a margarita, you could have nachos and talk with someone, and it's great, but it's not meaningful for playing the game. It's giving you some thoughts, it's pointing you in the right direction. But if you really want some real mentorship, you're going to have to practice with other dentists. So that brings me to some choices. Getting involved with group practices where you have other dentists on site is a benefit for young dentists. Even if it's somebody who's teaching you what you don't want to do, okay? Even if somebody who interacts with patients in a way you think doesn't work. Because when you have someone who you can rely on, who's a licensed dentist in the same office that you work, it is fantastic for a young dentist. So look for group practices. I'm checking on a couple of questions here. Are you worried about corporate offices promising mentoring but just turning new dentists into mills? I had a mentor that never wanted to meet up and he mainly bragged about his big cases. Okay, that's common. Dentists bragging? Nuh-uh. I'm shocked. So this brings us to this too. Yes, if a place offers mentorship, great tip over here. How would you find out? And this is from my close friend and patient, and we have a great webinar together, Mark. If someone says, hey, we offer mentorship here. You're sitting across from someone, it could be corporate, it could be regular, we offer mentorship here. Don't just be like, okay, no more questions for me. Always say something positive. That is great. I'd love to be mentored. Could you tell me more about that? Or what does that look like exactly? Or does that mean fill in the blank that a dentist is going to be here with me? Does that mean that I can text this dentist if I can't figure out which implant parts to order? Because they need, and if the person working there says, oh yeah, sure, we have Sally and she's our mentor and she's used to getting phone calls, she's used to getting emails, That they know what they definitely are mentoring their young graduates. They say, oh, they'll just be mentorship, it'll be fine. Ask more questions like that. I want you to think like a chef with mentorship. A GPR AGDs is got standing transitional year. This is super important, something I'd like to take a minute on. You have to invest in C early, and it feels like you need to invest in C early, even when it feels like you cannot afford it. This is a very difficult thing, but I'm 41 years old, and a lot of 41-year-old dentists have the means and the money to take high-level CE, but what they don't have is the time or the ability to get out of their offices that they're running to take that. When you are young and an associate, I encourage you to take CE. When I say take out a loan for CE, I don't mean go to a bank and ask them. Maybe you have a parent, maybe you have a benefactor, maybe you have someone who say, hey, I want to sign up for this $5,000 course. Is there a payment plan? And they don't even have to be $5,000 courses, but you should be taking a significant number of CE in all types of areas. Doesn't mean just fly to California and take a fancy occlusion workshop. It means take local stuff, take online stuff, take stuff that's going to make you money. That's important to pay off your debt. So whether that's restoring implants, doing restorative dentistry better. As a young dentist, the way you're going to make money is doing restorations. So get good at class 2s and class 3s and class 4s and even class 1s. That's a valuable way to spend your money. To take high-level occlusion as a new grad, that's not going to be have a meaningful impact on your life. So take CE in a way that makes sense. If you want to reach out to me, Dr. Nacho at dentalnachos.com. I have dentists who put together CE resources, CE packages, what they would do. You could read it. Some of it's stuff that we do. Some of it's not stuff that we do. Some of the stuff is stuff I've never even heard about. But invest in CE early, even when it feels like you cannot afford it. Take the job that promotes true learning, even if it does not pay the most. Think like a chef. Chefs spend a lot of time being nurtured and mentored and sometimes yelled at by older chefs, but they learn. Think if they went to a restaurant and just worked on their own, they wouldn't necessarily learn anything. So you cannot juice cleanse your loan. So does anyone here try to juice cleanse? I've tried to juice cleanse before. You're going to go on the red carpet. I'll check over here, see if anyone has anything else on this to say. Yeah. So I know you have a lot of debt. I know it weighs on your mind. It would make you. You have $500,000 in debt. But whether you take a job where you make $190,000 a year or $140,000 a year, it doesn't matter. What you should be looking for is this a job where I can learn, where I can grow, where I can invest in myself over my career? And it's not an easy decision, but when you're sitting down thinking about taking a job, there should be more than just exactly how much money you're going to make, because you can't juice cleanse your loans. And sometimes in that job where you don't make as much money, you learn more to use for the rest of your career. Let's check in here. So we got about 21 minutes left here. I'm going to just take my face off here for a second. Check in with our group. Okay. Great. So we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about patient communication. This is something that is woefully not taught in dental school. They think that, teaching about the Krebs cycle, teaching about, working interferences is going to be a thing when you get out. This is a picture of me and one of my favorite patients. We're talking about implants. We're talking about nachos here, which I think are like the implants of dentistry. You have to learn to talk to patients like people. Where could you learn how to talk to patients if they don't teach you in dental school? What are some good places you can learn? And actually, there's a question from Zoom. What should 40-year-olds, or what do I want to take more CE in as a 41-year-old dentist? One of the things that I want to take more CE in is sleep apnea, learning more about that, even if you're just screening my patients. Sleep apnea, still a basic foundation in restorative updates. You're going to be restoring teeth your entire life. So when I go to a CE course and Dr. Todd Fleischman is speaking, Dr. John Coyce is speaking, I'm still enhancing what I know about restorative dentistry. That should be a baseline of what you're learning. As a young dentist, think of something that you could offer that's not offered in the office. Are they not doing any endo and they can refer you some of it? Perfect. Is there some basic ortho you can learn? And the key is do some, refer some. Be responsible to learn how to do starter cases and whatever you're doing, endo, ortho, implants, seeing kids, extractions, so you can identify how complex it is, so you know what you can do and what you want, what you're going to refer. But great question there. What should a 40-ish-year-old person be taking? I still think restorative updates, looking to incorporate new things. Sleep apnea has been life-changing for patients that have come to our office, so I think that's a great opportunity to help people, and things that you like to do. Oh, perfect answer from my buddy. Go to Toastmasters. That's what I was waiting for. So do you want essentially a free tip? Hey, do you like free? Thanks, Amanda there. Do you like free? Okay, everyone likes free. Toastmasters, I believe, is totally free. If not, it is very little money for you to go and talk in front of people. So if you are sitting out there and you are not getting the case acceptance that you want, and you want to do better, which is all of us, even me, get yourself to Toastmasters so you can present in front of people, so you can build your confidence, so that you can go talk to your patients about implants, endo, restorative dentistry, anything like that. Great, great point there. This is just an example of the core case presentation tip. So if I had 60 seconds to help you guys talk to patients and seem more confident, I don't know why this is not taught in dental school on the first day, and you practice saying it over and over and over again. So I just infused some of my favorite nacho toppings in this. So RTT stands for remember these things, 3 things that can happen to a tooth. This is what I think we should be talking about with patients. So we say, hey, let me bring my face back on here. This will be life-changing. Hey, Mrs. Smith, there are 3 things that can happen to a tooth. It can get a cavity, you know what that, cavity. Sometimes I talk about, like, you turn over a rock in the forest, you see bugs, get a cavity. People on earth are familiar with cavity. The bone can shrink or the tooth can break. And there's 2 parts to the tooth that can break. The top part and the base part. And then I draw this picture here, cavity, bone shrink, top part break, base part break. And right now we're on the same page. The patient and I are waiting, they're waiting for me to say, what are they dealing with? Are they dealing with just a cavity? Are they dealing with cavity and bone shrinkage? Are they dealing with a broken top part, a broken base part? I can go into lots of details about this, and I do in other courses, but this is just a quick tip for you guys to frame every patient conversation. And as you see here on my white paper, always be managing expectations, explain the why. And here's one: make the best decision in the moment based on the information at hand. Dentists want to know a script. Do I always do this? People ask me, if an implant fails, Paul, dramatic term, we don't say failed in our office, we say replace, but if an implant fails, what do you do? Do you refund all the money? Do you refund none of the money? Do you refund some of the money? And I say, I make a customized decision based on the information I have on hand on the moment, because how many times am I dealing with implant failures in a year? A failure, a huge problem, somewhere I have to think I'd replace it. I don't know, 5, maybe 5 times over a year. So just drill into those 5 times. Is it a patient who's been in the office for 25 years and their implant failed, deintegrated in 4 years? Maybe I do it for free. Is it somebody who did the implant and then they didn't come back for 4 years and I never saw them again? Maybe I do it for half price. I make the best decision in the moment. That will help you. But these 3 points here: cavity, bone shrinks, top part breaks, base part breaks. Let's go through a couple more things here. Feel free to jump in with any questions whenever you guys want. Trying to manage both, which I love doing. Yeah, they're like this, say the same thing in English, people talk. So we talk a little bit about implants, and I talk about that with the Game of Thrones phenomenon. I love Game of Thrones as our dragon glass. Restoring a dental implant is a low-stress chairside procedure, a high-revenue procedure, and it's rewarding for the patient and team. So when you have the opportunity to restore a back tooth implant, one where there's no aesthetic concerns, it's functional, it's an opportunity for all good. Low stress on you, highly productive, and the patient and the team like it. Restoring one dental implant is as productive as 6 to 9 class 2s. So getting good at talking to your patients about the value of replacing their teeth. You're not going to win them all. Maybe you get 1 out of 10 to start with, then 2 out of 10, then 3 out of 10. But for you to get a system down and talk to patients about that as a young dentist will just be life-changing. This is actually my 9 words to millions of dollars. I'm going to go over quickly, but I will give you a opportunity. If you want to get a laminated copy, you can email Dr. Nacho at dentalnachos.com. My awesome associate has made laminated copies of this. So if you want to put one chair side and look at, you can do that. So we got about 15 minutes left in our webinar. We're going to go over some of the practice transition landscape. I want to go get through all the points and then touch on all the points that we talked about. So restoring implants, this is a case that I did start to finish. Don't worry about the shade. She's going to bleach. Whenever somebody has you too light a shade, just say, oh, you know what? You might bleach your teeth one day. And you take a look at this patient who was awesome. I think she was in her 80s at the time we did it. And this was a perfectly fine shade, but with the implants placed in the middle, you can do a screw retain crown. This is a seating jig, my buddy. This is when I was doing the one-piece screw retain crowns more often. Now I do more screwmentation. We can talk about that at a future course. This shows you, I wish they would go over this in dental school. In a general dental practice, restoring implants is an opportunity for you to be productive per patient. So not every day is like this, but if you're doing some fillings, which are low productivity, some facials, class 2s, an implant guide, when you restore implants, you can drive up your production per patient, produce more in the same hours that you are working, which is what every dentist wants to do. If you do a lot of endo, that can do that, sleep apnea appliances, other things too. This just talks about implants and restoring implants. So let's talk about the practice transition landscape. So we talked about private practice versus GPR versus AGD versus specialty program. Right now, quick tip, periodontists and oral surgeons are doing by far the best economically of all the specialists. In my experience, where's the experience come from? The experience comes from transitioning practices and looking at tax returns of people in those areas. Our practice transitions company sells perio practices all over the country. We have it comes from my own in-house periodontist. So those two specialties are doing well. And this is the why for that. So why would I say that those two specialties are doing better? It's because they are doing things that people need more of. So let's think about something for a second. Do young people need more fillings? Most likely not. Do young people need more root canals? Most likely not. But what older patients need, 55 and above, is to replace more teeth, which is removal, bone preservation, implant placement. Periodontists are doing very cool things with gum tissue grafting. Periodontists also can do things to maintain teeth. So one of the things I say is like, you don't have to say, hey, Mrs. Smith, we are going to save your tooth. Way too dramatic. It's not Private Ryan. It's not Tom Hanks. It's just a tooth to say we're going to maintain your tooth or remove it. So those two specialties right now are doing phenomenally well. So if you're thinking about a specialty, I highly recommend one of those. Now let's talk about practice transitions. You're a young dentist. You went to dental school. You did a GPR AGD. You went into private practice. You're an associate and you're thinking, I may want to buy a practice. I won't say your name. Who's looking to buy a practice? Is anyone looking right now to buy a practice and become a practice parent? There's got to be some. It's practice ownership is talked about all the time. Who's looking to buy a practice? So some of you guys may not say it, but I know there's some of you out there doing it. That's okay. See somebody here. Income potential of practice ownership versus perio. I'll touch on that here. So who's looking to buy a practice? So a couple things that's happening in the practice transition landscape. First, let's share some ways for you to be successful. One is to build relationships with people in your physical and virtual dental neighborhood. This was a course that I did where I was sponsored by Design for Vision. We still do have a Design for Vision discount code. They're one of my sponsors. Free puppies, free money, free nachos. I'm just joking, but they are a sponsor. Totally want to give you guys a disclaimer. Siljanot from Keatonbach. If you want to try that out, that's one of our sponsors, Algin Alternative and Care Credit. But what I use this slide as an example of knowing your Keatonbach rep, knowing your Design for Vision rep, knowing your Care Credit rep are ways for you to learn what's going on outside of your office. If you share with them, hey, if you know of any dentists that are looking to sell their practice, would you let me know? If you know of any dentists who are looking to hire because my friend needs a job, let me know. So building these relationships, which they don't talk to you about in dental school, are critical during the time you're looking to buy a practice. So when you're looking to buy a practice, you just say to your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, whoever, your dog, whoever expects you to be home, hey, I'm looking to purchase a practice. And for the next 12 months, I got to put my face out there as much as possible. So at night, instead of coming home and watching Netflix, I'm going to be signing up for CE. I'm going to be going to networking events. I'm going to be visiting with dentists, and I'm going to be sharing with them because they will think of you if you put your face in front of them. Because this is going to happen to us, everyone. There's going to be some new app called Snapagram that Daphne's going to know about that I'm not going to use. So if you're looking to talk with 50 to 60-year-old dentists, you have to go where they are. And while there's awesome dentists here on using Facebook to communicate with us, adopters of technology, when they get to really talk and know you, it's got to be face-to-face. So put yourself in those scenarios with reps and with older dentists. Someone had asked a question on the chat. What is the earning potential of private practice ownership versus perio? So great question. This is what we have to compare. What is the earning potential for most as a solo general dentist owning a practice to a solo periodontist, okay? Not a solo periodontist with someone who owns 10 practices like Mark Costas. That's not apples to apples, that's apples to nachos. So a solo GP versus a solo periodontist, in the easiest form and the easiest way to share this, most periodontists are going to earn twice as much as most general dentists because their production per patient and their production per hour is 2 to 3 times that of a general dentist. And if you look at the most, I know there's one periodontist making 100 grand. I know there's one general dentist making $1 million. But if you look at the most and look at what they're doing, they're making twice as much money. So even though you have to spend 3 more years in school, if it's something that you think that you might like to do, I'm encouraging you to check it out. How do new dentists meet these great reps? Great, going to large. So the best way to meet reps is to go to large and very big C events where they have tons of tables, Greater New York Dental Meeting, for example. And I don't care if the courses aren't good or I don't care if the meeting's not that crowded. You go around there with your card, say, hi, my name is Paul Goodman. I'm going to be a dentist in this area. I'd like to know about what you do, ask them what they do. And if you know anyone who's looking for an associate, think of me. Okay, guys, so we got here about 7 or 8 more minutes. If anyone has any pressing questions, they can throw those in. Strive for clinical goodish first. This is an example here. This is the moderator, my second child. See, I did not fully button this onesie properly. It was really annoying me, but it was good enough for us to go back into the party. Here's an example of a case from our associate at our PPO practice. Really, she did an awesome job in the time that she had. So the goal is to strive for clinical goodish. I mean, if I say to you, okay, who wants the best haircut I could do? I'll cut your hair. Who wants it to be my best job? Okay, anyone want to be my best job? Okay, you raise your hand, yes? It's going to take 7 hours. Is that okay with you? You say, nope, okay, I'll take the good job. So no one tells you how to self-evaluate and get to goodish first. And we think people want our best, and they don't. Because our best might take us 6 hours to do class 2. But they don't want bad, because that's not good. So how can you get to goodish? How can you know when you are done? We had Jason Smithson on our podcast who talks about this. It's going to come out soon. He's a guru of composites. But he says, sometimes I do a 13-minute class 1 because the patient doesn't want to sit there for 62 minutes while I put tints and anatomy in their composite. So this is just the key part of being a young dentist. So we're going to start to finish up here. One of the things I talked about for this webinar is how can all dentists help our newest colleagues? And this is what I would like to share. First of all, get out there and meet them too. When you're at a study club, medium-age dentist, SAD, don't be all weird and not talk to the younger dentists. They're the younger ones. Go up and ask them their name. Go up and ask them where they are. Give them your card and say, hey, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. They probably won't reach out to you, but they're going to feel good that they have a resource in the area. They feel abandoned. They feel on their own. It's up to us as MADs and SADs to help them. It doesn't have to be with money. You don't have to hire them as an associate. That would be great, but just be a nice resource for them locally. In the practice transition landscape, though, I want to show this picture here because it's one of my favorites on earth. So I do want to share with everyone how dedicated I am to teaching, because this was us down at the shore last year. And this here is Vivian, and this is Daphne, and Vivian is her cousin. And this was me over here having a post-beach day drink. And I said to them who are right here, please come in the house for dinner. So you see these steps? Most people would just walk up these steps for dinner. Nope. Vivian went around the car, through this way, put herself on a ledge filled with seashells, couldn't have been more dangerous of a choice, and Daphne followed her because she loves Vivian. So I had to go and grab them quickly after this iPhone picture. I knew they'd be okay. I said, quick iPhone picture for my lectures. grabbed them and said, hey, Daphne and Vivian, that was not a good choice. So in the practice transition landscape, the people that love you, your brothers, your sisters, your parents, sometimes even mentor dentists, they're too close to you to give you the advice that you need to hear. Doesn't mean you have to hire me, doesn't mean you have to call me. There's other people who do that, but you need to build a team of advisors who will give you the tough love, objective advice, because purchasing a practice, buying into a practice, starting up a practice is the most important decision of your life. It's going to affect your entire life. You're likely not going to move after you've done it. So you want to make sure you're in a place where you want to be. There are dentists who've had 3 or 4 spouses and only 1 practice. So that should just tell you how important a decision that is for you. Oh, here's a prize for you here. Let's see if we can play this.
Okay, guys, we're here with Dr. An and Janice, one of our favorite patients who's got a new implant overdenture. And Janice, can you pop that out for us to take a look at? So these are on the upper. Nice nails, Janice. I like that. Good. And can you show us that there? Nice. So it's U-shaped. There's no palate, not like this denture over here. Traditional denture, which we have given Janice as a backup. But the advantages here are that there's no palate, doesn't cover the roof of the mouth, snaps into place, and you can pop it back in for us, Janice. Awesome. And what are you going to have for your first meal with your new denture? Nachos? Pizza. Pizza? I like that too. All right, thanks, Janice.
So that just shows you their fun case that I did with our associate and myself. If you text POSI, P-O-S-I, to 444-999, you're going to get the $1 Million Practice That Made No Money. It's an awesome CE course that I did with Bob Septak. What it does is we dig into a practice, and even though the practice collected $1 million, there was no profit. We tell you why. These are things you would look out for and apply to the practice that you might want to purchase. So there's something called Textapol. It's a little bit like a MailChimp or a Constant Contact. You text POSI to 444-999. Your phone will not blow up. They'll send you a link for you to get this free CE course, which will go into detail the things that you need to know when looking for a practice. So as we finish up here, be fully aware of the troubling trends in the dental economy and how insurances are being affected. So this is a procedure from our office. I'm not going to tell you what procedure it is. It could be a filling, it could be a night guard, it could be cleanings. It was $356. We all know this Bed Bath & Beyond coupon. That's how insurance really works. But the fee here that they allowed was $160. So it was over 55% off. So how about you try this on your wife or your husband or whoever you love or your dog? Go to your dog and say, hey, I love you, but next year I'm going to reduce my love by 40%. Is that okay with you? Because that's what insurance companies are doing to dentists, and we really need to be aware of that. And as a new dentist, everyone, new dentists are often taking the newer patients. They're often doing the procedures that are most covered by insurance, and this is an enormous problem, and it's not their fault. There's an example that, and when someone said their dog said cookies up front, I like that. Pay cookies up front, that's a great one. There's an example of dentists in a certain state. After a certain year, all the dentists after that get paid less by the insurance. So that's just total unfairness. Now, life can be unfair. And one of the things I learned at the ADA when I went to this meeting, which was somewhat troubling, they said, just because it's unfair doesn't make it illegal. But you may be a dentist going to practice, and you must take lower fees than the owner who owns that practice. And this is a huge problem that we need to be aware of as a group and try to take steps to make it better. I don't know if this webinar is going to give you all the steps to make it better, but at least just make you aware of what's happening. That's the insurance gap. That's what I said between the enlisted fee and the insurance fee. One of my mottos here in Dental Nachos, hopefully we embrace this on this webinar. Gary Vee's one of a guy I love. Being nice is ROI positive. Just be nice to each other, dentists. Our future is riding on it. That is me at the New Dentist Boost Camp. One of my favorite things to do. So I think there's a lot of room to be nicer to each other in our space. I mean, no one likes dentists. We might as well like each other. This is one of the nice messages I got. You're doing good things for dentistry and helping out a lot of people. It's a motto we're wearing the shirt. We're going to battle TSD, which is That's So Dentist. That's us kind of poking and picking at each other. Make new dentist friends and keep the old ones. That's Daph and Viv. That's Todd Fleischman and I. And one of the things I want to leave you with before I will stick around and answer just a couple questions is you want to develop your dentist core early and never stop. So I'm doing this burpee challenge, 100 burpees a day. Did them today. Mark Costas had put that on his group. I thought that was cool. you've got to constantly be developing your mind skills, your word skills, and your hand skills. Dental school doesn't teach that. Dental school teaches about clinical skills and how to talk like a weirdo. When you get out of dental school, it's developing your mind, your words, and your hands, and do things that develop that. Here's a great example of a dentist, Aaron Elliott, who said ponderings from North Idaho. So I think we need more leadership from female dentists, because half the dentists are females, and there's unique things that females face in the dentisting industry. We'd love to get more female speakers, leaders, and Erin is just an awesome example of that. One thing I've learned in the last few years is the importance of camaraderie and mentorship. I wish I could go back to my younger self and tell her to just get more CE, even if that means debt and time away from my young kids. I could use it. I could be so much further along in my dentisting. I realized the power of someone pushing me, or mentorship. Who is that person for you guys? I've had amazing mentors, and I wish I'd sought them out earlier on. So that's Aaron and I at the Greater New York meeting, 2 Mads there hanging out. So this one will go over to future webinar since we're running out of time. But I do want to leave you guys. This is my dad, who was just an amazing mentor to me, amazing person, amazing everything. I got to practice with him for 11 years before he passed away. This is Mary and her grandfather. So it just shows that these people in your life just have such a meaningful impact. Do that for someone else. Pay it forward for someone else. I'm going to get you to the thing you're waiting for. This is a quote that I love that Mary's grandfather had said, "You give little, but when you give of your possessions, it's when you give of yourself that you truly give." And here it is, the CE code. So if you have registered for this webinar, you can get CE credit for the past 60 minutes. So the code is 505 nachos, 505 nachos. To get this CE credit, you must have watched live with us. If you had any problems registering, ce@dentalnachos.com. This is for watching it live. It counts as live CE. Very cool. 505 nachos. If you didn't watch it live and you want the recorded webinar, we'll be working on that. You just take a short quiz, but ce@dentalnachos.com with any questions. But if you have registered, use this completion code, which I will leave up here for a second. And oh yeah, Bill Stewart is one of my mentors. Yeah, that is great. And Aaron is awesome. Thanks for saying thanks. I love doing this. We're going to go to our face-to-face nacho party here. Does anyone have any last-minute questions that they want to ask before we jump off here? Checking over here on Facebook. Bunch of people here. Thanks for watching, guys. Any questions here? Yeah, I like this. I am going to have margaritas and nachos next. That was, if you missed that before, you text POSI to 444999, and you'll get this CE course for no charge. This is super valuable if you're looking to buy a practice, if you're looking to buy a second practice, even if you just want to know more about what goes into looking at the numerics of a practice. It's digestible, and it tells you a tale of some of a dentist who was doing a great job producing dentistry, but not a great job being profitable. All right, guys. Well, I will put my face back on here. Awesome hanging with you guys. Cinco de Mayo, fun. So I hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and fun being on here with you, and get out on Dental Nachos and in the real world, and JBN. Thanks, guys.